Thank you, Sylvain. Thank you for having me. Dear honored policymakers and educators, I'm giving my presentation from the perspective of Finland. That is a small Scandinavian country there, small country, but very strong reputation in education. I'll start by sharing my slides like this. Yep. I work for Omnia, that is a multi-sectoral educational institute in the capital region. We have something like 7,000 secondary vocational students. Then we have adult liberal education, about 30 or 40,000 courses done per year. And we have general upper secondary education among other services. And my title for this presentation is quite a mouthful, 2 ways of how digitalization helps to improve feedback on competence development and assessment in TVET. So there are 2 different concepts, feedback on competence development and assessment. And I will shed light why I divide these 2 here. Let me start with this EU digital competence framework, and there is a particular sub-framework for the educators, and you can see the overall diagram here. And we are now discussing what is in the common language called as assessment or assessment plus feedback, as we see it in the Finnish vocational education. And here assessment is number 4. It's central to educators' pedagogic competencies. And it's divided into 3 sub-areas: assessment strategies, analyzing evidence, and feedback and planning. Of these, if we think about sort of digital competencies especially, and the assessment strategies, developing them means to use digital technologies for formative and summative assessment and feedback, to enhance the diversity and suitability of assessment formats and approaches. So, and this is a very important practical work a teacher has to do. The other thing is that in analyzing evidence, we need to generate, select, critically analyze and interpret digital evidence on learner activity, performance and progress in order to inform teaching and learning. Here again, when we think about digitalization, we tend to discuss and facilitate our teachers how these processes transform when the tools and platforms change. And also feedback and planning, to use digital technologies to provide targeted and timely feedback to learners. So this is something that has changed quite a lot, as you know, during this very special year. Assessment and feedback on competence development. There are 2 different things to take into account in order to have it to help and not to be a bottleneck in innovating education. The first thing is when integrating digital technologies into learning and teaching, we must consider how digital technologies can enhance existing assessment strategies. So enhance existing strategies, that's one area. And it's important to think that, okay, it's not only to make them more effective and fluent, but it's also, we must consider how they can be used to create or to facilitate innovative assessment approaches. It changes the process quite a lot, especially on 3 areas. And it says digital technologies can contribute to directly monitoring learner progress, to facilitating feedback, and to allowing educators to assess and adapt their teaching strategies. I'll give some example there later on. But first, that you understand why I use these two concepts of assessment and feedback as separate things. The vocational education training is in Finland, it's completely competency based, and the students demonstrate their skills in particular competence demonstrations, in practical tasks, in authentic working environments. It's not so important what do they attend lessons or how they practice and develop their skills. Most important is that they achieve these skills. And these are assessed in the competence demonstrations, and assessment is here a legal term having its criteria, etc., etc. And this assessment is done with the learner, teacher, and working life representative. And during the studies, we say that teacher and workplace tutor, they give feedback on competence development. So this is the reason I use these two words, assessment and feedback. I've included two slides of further information. I won't go through them now, but especially for you policymakers, it's important to understand what is there beneath the Finnish thinking and how the system goes. So here is some further information for you. And I will continue with the case that comes from Omnia, and it's on the area of catering. And we coordinate an international project, Cooking for the Future. There's the link for that project. And there, the students, they learn certain catering skills and competencies, and they collaborate on cloud services. They create themselves their own digital CV portfolios, like you see there on the right-hand side. And they get open badges or digital certificates for their competencies. Okay, I think that sort of collaborative work on cloud services and CV portfolios, they are clear to you, but the open badges need some further explanation. And these open badges that you see on the right-hand side, like small images or stamps, but they are not only these images of certain areas of competencies, but actually those are links to web pages, and those web pages include info on the issuer, the requirements, and the actual evidence of the student. How has the student shown the competence, and what is the evidence there? So this kind of a badge can be attached to job application and digital CVs, and they tell more than that a student has attended or succeeded with some course, but they tell exactly what the student has done and how, and they have a more sort of concise idea of the competencies of this particular individual. Digitalization doesn't just happen like this, but surely the institutes and colleges need to support their teachers. And in Omnia, we give practical pedagogic support so that whenever there are new teachers or new courses designed, the pedagogic support staff that I'm part of, we mentor our peers both on the pedagogic process and on how to use the digital tools. And in the case of feedback and assessment, we may, for example, discuss with the teacher or the team of teachers, for example, to consider these 6 things. First, of course, ensure that the students understand the expectations and what will be assessed. That's crucial, of course. The second thing is to create an assessment journey so that it's sort of logical and the student internalizes how the process goes and what new skills are built upon the things that have been learned before. 3, give continuous feedback and encourage to peer-to-peer feedback. Yeah, that's one part leading to the learning new competencies. And promote quality, integrity, and challenge. And then we discuss how this kind of quality thinking is seen in the teaching. Pay attention to different learners and situations. We have more than 100 different nationalities or language, mother language backgrounds within our students. So this is very important as well. And pay attention to results and pay attention also that the result is not an end point, but it is a sort of the step to start the next circle or next phase. Another thing is that, okay, surely we help them in more practical ways as well. For example, when they are designing an online course, we may use some ready available tool like this Jill Salmon's 5-stage model, and that is that includes both the technical side of carrying on with the course and also the social and sort of the processual side of it. So these kind of things we take into account and ensure that the teacher understands. And if you need, if you want to know more about how we've been carrying out this support, there's a link for my presentation, Resilient Learning for All, I gave in an UNEVOC webinar in July. Then some benefits of digitalization in technical and vocational education and training, especially now when it's this kind of a pandemic situation and social distancing has been so important. Digitalization has been very useful, especially this year all over the world. From the learner's point of view, of course, it's now with digital tools, it's easy to combine on-site and online training. Reporting, supervising, and communicating is easier. And also to the private sector towards the world of work, they can create easy to share digital portfolios and such that the evidence and more information about their competencies is available. For the institution and the trainer or teacher, surely there's better administration with less effort, and this kind of a sort of a collaboration both with the learner and world of work is easier. And also the enterprises, companies, and internship places, they understand better what the secondary vocational education and training is about and how it works. So this was a very short, quick presentation on the Finnish approach to feedback and assessment in technical and vocational education and learning. And these slides are available both on the conference site, and also I've added an address j.mp/ep-ap-lius. Okay, thank you. Over to you.